Good evening, everybody. Um, while we're waiting for Kevin, just going to allow people to enter. Good evening. How's it, Samba? How's it, Kevin?
How's it?
Lekker. Thanks for joining us. We just people are joining us. I think let's kind of start getting going.
Cool.
You cool sound and video there on your side?
Yeah, I can see you. I've got sound on. Can you hear me properly?
Okay, proper.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. I see Uncle Swizz is asking if applications are still open. Most definitely. I think that's an important question to ask. We open up for registration next year. Yeah, just contact our team and we can talk to you about the application process. There should be on the website, there's a link that you can just click on and just follow the process from there on. Somebody will be in contact with you. Cool. Kevin, if you're okay, I'm gonna get us going. I think let's get a prompt start. This afternoon we started talking about the industry and the role that you kind of play in it. I think this is the nice thing about our conversation is going to be slightly angled towards merchandising and the business of fashion more than actually what's trendy at the moment, and maybe even the creative process. But like even the planning is a creative process, and especially now, you're going to have to really, really think creatively and also kind of use your skill as somebody that can almost think about what trends are showing us, and then kind of based on that, kind of see what the patterns are, and almost predict and forecast what's coming our way. Unfortunate thing is we've all kind of realized that that's a more difficult process than we can ever could have imagined, because it's all out of our control. But still, when you do look to the past, it does give you a slight indication of people's behavior, and I think that's what going forward is going to be a big emphasis on. It's this idea of a customer kind of behavior and behavioral psychology of your customer. I think it's become a vital skill in order to kind of think what's in your customer's head, and almost kind of predicting what their needs are going to be. Because even though there's lots of turbulence around, we can still kind of use our intelligence to kind of predict what the needs of people are going to be, and what value we're going to add to that kind of to their lives. I think what's very interesting about your career and what you've been able to achieve is that you've got a kind of strong history in the industry, but also with a specific retailer, as to it's 20 years of experience that you've got, and I think it's a brand that we all kind of grew up with. It's reflective of what's going on around us. It's cognizant of what's going on around us. So maybe just as an introduction, just tell us just a little bit about your career, where you're at in your headspace at the moment. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Yeah, just a nice little introduction would be very cool.
Yeah, yeah. As you said, I've been with Mr. Price for quite a while. This is my 22nd year. I've effectively grown up in my retail career in this business, starting way back. I started my days in operations at store level, and got an opportunity to join the merchandise floor at our head office in 1998, and started as a merchandise allocator and trainee planner. And my experience is pretty spread, almost half and half across both buying and planning. The initial journey started very heavily skewed towards planning. I then made a crossover into buying, made a shift back into planning, and ended up being promoted to the planning director for Mr. Price Apparel. And then about 5 years ago, made the change back into merchandise as the merchandise director, firstly for male gender, which would be our men's and boys apparel, accessories and footwear. And then about 2.5 years ago, I took over all of apparel, including the female side, which would be ladies wear, kids wear, or girls wear, all the related accessories and the footwear as well. Yeah, just in terms of where retail's at, you kind of touched on we're on uncertain times. I think if anybody had to tell you that they're not feeling uncomfortable, they'd be lying to you. But in the uncomfortableness comes a lot of opportunity for us to reshape retail. You know, as you spoke of earlier, planning is a big steer in historic understanding consumer behavior in the past, which there's a significant application for that in the future. But we're entering a very different environment where behavior pre and post COVID we have seen a shift in behavior. You know, it might be lasting, or there might be a portion of it that's long lasting, and there might be a portion of it that's with the uncertainty we're going through the environment that's happening globally. Yeah, so retail, I think, has shifted in the last 3 months from where we had initially expected it to be. But that, like I said, creates a lot of excitement in understanding how you can reshape your business. And, you know, business as usual, there has to be an evolution. The world needed probably a bit of a shake-up in many aspects. You know, a big fashion driver for the future is sustainability, more conscious sourcing, organic fibers as opposed to synthetic polymers. So yeah, there's a lot of disruption happening in retail, but and it would make a lot of people uncomfortable, but it's exciting at the same time. So yeah, I think we're at a pivotal point for fashion/retail globally to shift into a new norm.
Definitely. And it's interesting to see. I mean, I've only recently kind of engaged in the whole in the fashion industry. My background has always been in universities, and now shifted from slightly being more business orientated to kind of not the softer side of things, but it's a whole new world. And I think we've all underestimated how complex it is, and what elements we need to start considering. And you touched on that when we spoke earlier this afternoon about this idea of disposable kind of items, and then more so, items that we kind of start investing in. Then there's also kind of conversations around where we get our fabric from. And the moment you start kind of engaging with that, it opens up like this idea of what is sustainable and what isn't sustainable. And I think what COVID has brought on for us is we all kind of have been forced now to engage with these questions. So it's kind of a nice clean slate for people to kind of actually make the right moves. What is your feeling on the sustainability when it comes to not only like the actual material, but also the longevity of garments? Where do you think we're heading? Where are we at? What can we expect?
Yeah, it's not necessarily just clothing based. I think the whole world's moving to a mindset of more sustainability. Whether it's a significant shift to being a vegetarian or vegan, being kinder to the planet from a food production point of view, and straight into fashion. Do we buy garments that we want to invest in for more than just a month or two that can transcend season. Fashion will always have an element of disposability to it in terms of it's warranted for the season. Shapes, silhouettes, patterns will evolve the following. But I think there's a big driver to a more, especially with post-COVID now, accelerating it, a more loungewear-based comfort wear trend. Like I said, those trends could be here for time to stay. It could be a short burst based on isolation, home living, working from home. That's quite a big trend at the moment. It's to sift through historics and look at the optics of what you've got right now to understand how you can plan your future as a retailer / fashion business for the future. And it's not one individual. The buying and planning go hand in hand in our business, and you guys focus on that a lot through the curriculum that you guys do, so that the commercial as well as the creative side of the business, can't survive without each other. So it's going to be quite crucial for how we shape retail for the future. Sustainability is not just about longevity of garment wear. It's about how goods are produced, where they're produced, whether it's chemical free in terms of organic. So there's a significant drive to that. There's the whole drive on recycling, recycling garment back into yarn, back into fabric, back into garment. Significant drive of that. There's also a significant drive of PET bottle, plastic bottles back into polyester and acrylic yarns, which is also a nice big trend that's coming through. I think the world's viewing disposability a lot different, whether it's clothing, food consumption. Motor vehicle industry is facing a pivotal point on whether combustion versus electric is going to be the way of the future. So it's not just retail that's impacted. It's global. It's an interesting tipping point and daunting, but exciting at the same time with opportunities that it presents.
Yes. I think also there's going to be a strong sense of a pride in your not only your a sense of culture, but also of your country. People are going to maybe there's a slight more emphasis on stuff that's locally produced. I mean, those have got pros and cons, but it's exciting that we can open up a conversation again about like producing a lot more stuff local and how that can link to job creation and things like that.
Absolutely. For our business, it's localization is a key focus and always has been. It's how we started as a factory shop business over 25 years ago, and we don't initially shout about it as boldly as some people, but over 50% of our goods get produced in Southern Africa. So a big portion is already localized, but the opportunity exists to just localize more as we invest more into the manufacturing sector in South Africa. So I think the COVID-19 has probably driven solidarity into every country quite aggressively in terms of looking after your own first. And that's a trend that started maybe, like I said to you earlier, maybe inadvertently by, Trump's campaign of America First, maybe arrogantly starting it, but it's a trend that kind of has transcended now. And I think that's accelerating with COVID-19, ensuring that, we look internally first for opportunity opposed to looking externally. Because, with everybody being in lockdown, it's exposed probably supply chains across industry. How you can be affected outside of your own geographic reach with things that are beyond your control. I think it's exciting how we can steer economic growth as a retailer, just focusing on South Africa as your primary target, as opposed to outsourcing.
And also, there's going to be an emphasis on again about usable skills, and I think that's where when it comes to what we're doing at Lysop. The programs that we run. The other night we had somebody on that said, one of the lecturers said, if you've got a sewing machine and a kind of a great idea, you can kind of run your own business. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about scale also to a certain degree, but it's interesting to see that people might be able to kind of get themselves going again and start a small business, and you might have a business that you want to scale, and it might be that you needed to formalize your education to kind of be able to do that. something like a short like online program might help, or like a high certificate to kind of just gear you up better. Also, if you're entering the fashion industry, a solid background in a theoretical background is going to be interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of these things pan out, and how people are going to be able to kind of take advantage of this opportunity. I think naturally there's a lot of negative things at the moment, but I think Africa is in a position where we can kind of take advantage from a lot of opportunities that are out there. We've been speaking about this idea of the fourth industrial revolution quite a bit, and it speaks to a lot of the tech, but there's also this idea of the Japanese kind of pioneered it, of this kind of the social kind of consciousness around like what makes us human. And I think that's where there's different skills are going to become important, and it's actual skills that you can kind of help yourself with and help your community with. And I think those are the things that's opening up for us. The jobs in the future aren't necessarily going to be what we expected them to be a couple of years back. Things like creativity and your ability to kind of problem solve is what's important. And that's I think the fact that it's becoming more and more emphasized is just wonderful.
Just before we get the question about working from home here, to answer that question, working from home, a lot of us, if you were stuck in level 5 and could only go back in level 4 or level 3, depending on which level you fall into, we had to obviously run our business from home for the first 5 weeks of lockdown. We were lucky enough that with clothing sales starting with winter product at level 4, we were allowed to come back to the office, but it wasn't in the new norm, everybody back in one shot. We've obviously had to adapt to managing capacity and social distancing. But in working from home, I think we as a business have learned quite a lot of how to operate in new normal. It came with some challenges, and yes, it was strange and weird and all those other wonderful words, but a lot of gold came out of working remotely. The one thing with retail, though, is it's a very tactile business. It's garments, it's fabric, you want to touch and feel. So there's only so much from a merchant point of view you can do electronically. You need that physical interaction with what you're dealing with. So conceptually, you can do a lot remotely, but at the end of the day, you need to touch, feel, and see that merchandise, that fabric, that swatch, that color live. So a blended approach to how an office environment could look. For the question posed by Cheese's official, it's I think everybody's navigating through it, whether you retail, automotive, any industry, navigating what the new normal from a remote working point could look like. But I would just like to say that there's pros and cons to both, and there's a lot of lessons we can learn from remote working that we can be kinder. The one example is being kinder to the environment. There's less people on the road. There's less petrol being consumed for cars. There's less pollution happening. Saw a post in India for the first time in 50 years. In Mumbai, they can see 50 k's into their landscape where they've been smothered with smoke for 50 years. So I think COVID-19 has given people the foresight and the physical sight to see what we've taken for granted. And make us reflect on how we want to live differently for the future. So, it has been strange, to answer your question bluntly, but a lot is coming out of it in terms of how we can improve business process, streamline things to be more agile, and also be connected but disconnected through distance. I think everybody's learning.
Yes. I think you touched on is agility. And I think that's going to be a crucial skill going forward. Is your ability to kind of like see a problem and then adapt the way you kind of engage with it, whether it's your work environment or your industry that you need to cater to. How do you see the future of online retail? I mean, we've all been like talking about it for a long time. Now your industry has been as disrupted as any kind of industry. Most universities are going online now. We're finding issues with it. There's benefits, but there's also some difficulty. How do you see that space, developing in South Africa? Are we still late to the party, or are we ready for this?
I wouldn't say we're late to the party. Our business, we started the journey, it's no secret, in 2012, one of the first fashion retailers or clothing retailers in South Africa to take our retail into an omni-channel approach with an online presence. So we're well down the road of being a significant footprint in the online retail world. The challenges we've obviously felt, and if you're a consumer, you would have felt that, is the fact that you could transact through lockdown, but we weren't allowed to deliver. That's probably one little headache that we wished wasn't there, but almost every industry was shut down, including logistics, through lockdown. The opportunity for online retail in any sector in South Africa is vast, but what's lagging is a connected infrastructure that can appeal to the mass. That's probably the one shortfall. And I know government's been talking about the cost effectiveness of a digital reach for the consumer in terms of data. All the major cell phone providers have prices, but not near where it should be based on the developed world. With one of the strongest infrastructures, we've probably got the highest cost of data, whether it's through mobile or fixed line / fiber in the world. And I think as government transforms that in the communications industry, I think it will make the accessibility to the consumer a lot easier. They'll trust it more as they engage more in that environment. I think there's a lot of challenges ahead, but a lot of opportunity at the same time.
What's become interesting to me is this idea of visual merchandising and how you communicate that on an online platform. I mean, you were talking about a lot of stuff, whether you're making it or buying it, there needs to be something tangible about it. You want to feel it. You're going to feel quality almost. And I think visual merchandising might play a role in that going forward. I think it will help in terms of that kind of interaction with how do you kind of combine certain kind of items, but that needs to be kind of rolled out on a scale, a larger scale as well. And I think it's something that we're looking at with our students. How do you see, is there an element of visual merchandising when it comes to the online platforms? Do you feel that could be something that students might kind of think this is something that we would look at in the future and become more of a valuable skill? And could that be something that develops, in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. For a consumer that shops your stores in brick and mortar in a center or in a CBD street, you have the ability to navigate yourself through the store while walking. Your online experience needs to be a reflection of your store and be as presentable. Although it's digital, navigation and how you present merchandise / visual merchandise is of vital importance for your online page. So it's definitely very crucial that you treat your online space very similar to how you would present your physical space to your consumer, but understanding the intricacies of the digital.
There's a question there.
Here's a question.
If the customer sales decrease, is the merchandise director held full responsible since they're responsible for the increase in customer sales? Oh my goodness, that's horrible.
The answer to that is yes and no. Obviously, the current post-COVID world, it's an event that nobody could foresee, or the extent thereof. I can't speak to how we're trading and whether there is an increase or decrease. But yes, ultimately, the one thing about a fashion retailer or any retailer that sells clothing, your biggest asset is your merchandise, and if you make the wrong calls, the ultimate person responsible is the merchandise director. Obviously there's also co-responsibilities with the side of the team, because they help us forecast the volumes, the location that the product has to go in, the amount we have to buy. I wouldn't say it's one person, but ultimately if we call the fashion wrong or my team calls the fashion wrong, ultimately that's my accountability and responsibility to ensure that doesn't happen. Although, saying that, at Mr. Price, we as a management team, take co-responsibilities for all disciplines. It's not a silo-driven approach where I manage the merchandise team and it's only me. Our MD, our operations director, our planning director, our trend director, our resource head all get involved. Ultimately, the product calls sit with merchandise, as the planning does sit with planning, but it's a very collaborative approach to our business. So we do win and lose as a team ultimately. But yeah, to answer the question directly, if my team calls the wrong product, it is ultimately me that's responsible. So yeah, there has to be one person accountable at some point. This says there's one person accountable for how stores look. So yeah, there's another question there.
When you have an idea in terms of promoting or branding, do you often get criticized by the ideas that you're providing? Yeah, let's maybe. So I think that's an interesting one, and I think it maybe comes back to that kind of collaborative kind of conversation. I mean, we're all in a position now where we need to kind of get together and solve problems rather than stating them. So we all know COVID is a fact, and it's affected all of us. But I think ultimately people are going to not judge you on, and that's not the right word, but kind of like your behavior after is what's important. How do you handle the situation?
Absolutely.
And I think that requires a level of maturity from all of us and responsibility. I think ultimately we all become very responsible for our own lives and the companies that we work for. And that sense of community is going to be very important. It will never be one person ever again. Yeah. I think people realize that we understand. Yeah,
just answering the second question: are buyers big in the fashion universe, and would you recommend me becoming one? I don't know what the term is on big, but buyers get to the now. But the buying team, yes, it's a crucial skill in the fashion industry. Ultimately, we are responsible for the product we select, approve, and put in front of the customer. But it's not, just to give a bit of an understanding of, not about having 10 garments that you want to select the best ones of. It's not going to a supermarket and choosing the best items you feel. There's a lot of science involved in retail, the buying side, and that's why you guys offer a strong virtual module in your program for merchants to go through. There's a strong retail side to it. There is science. There's a lot of science in buying, being a buyer. A lot of analytics needs to take place, which you guys kind of touch on in your modules as well. So it's not just about the pretty garments and choosing the right color. It's understanding the mechanics and the commercials behind what you are looking to construct and put in front of your customer. That's equally vitally important. But yes, the responsibility ultimately of a buyer is to make sure that the right fashion, the right merchandise is bought in the right and quantities for your customer in collaboration with planning. So I wouldn't say buyers are big. They're a vital part of what the customer sees at the end of the day. But it's done in collaboration with multiple disciplines, not just the buying and the creatives that construct an assortment that the customer sees.
I think that's where business skills, like you spoke about, comes in important. We've got there's a BCom fashion. I mean, that gives you a very solid kind of base. So there's a definite kind of business side to it that we need to kind of keep in track. And we've got all that data, and an advantage is about like understanding data going forward. I mean, we all have this conversation about big data, but how are you going to use it in your favor? And that's where the analysis and kind of planning is going to come in very important.
Yeah.
There's another,
Yeah, just to answer Papa Smurf, is graphic designing an important skill when you want to become a merchant director? I wouldn't say there's one skill set that's important. To become a merchant director, you need to have a full rounding of a commercial understanding of your business, having gone through multiple disciplines. Like I've explained my journey, I haven't just spent time as a buyer or a buying manager. I crossed over into planning, which touched on the financial commercials of I've spent a lot of time, I've spent quite a few years in operations in stores physically. So from an operational point of view, understanding the customer at the face value, interacting with them, it's about how you can ground yourself in a retail career outside of just one discipline, so that you have a fuller, holistic understanding of your consumer, the environment, and how you can apply those in any field. Yeah, I wouldn't say one approach is necessarily the right path. You want to be very rounded in retail because it's such a complex industry. It appears simple. I often say we just want to buy some stuff and sell some stuff, but there's a lot of science and levers you have to pull and push to achieve the desired result. What is the hardest aspect about merchandising and buying? I'd say the hardest, but probably the most thrilling, is the fact that no one day is ever the same in this industry. I've been in the industry for over 25 years, 22 years at Mr. Price, and I've never repeated one day. It's exciting but unnerving at the same time, but it also means that you never stop learning. Your customer evolves, fashion and merchandise evolves every single day, week, month, year, from where it was the year before. So no year is the same. We have global events that happen every year that changes what next year is going to look like. So from that aspect, it's hard, but I don't think there's one thing that I would say is the hardest. Any retailer would tell you, not trading well is probably hard because you and reconfigure what you want for the future. But there's not one thing that's I would say that is hard. There's retail as a whole is a tough to be in, but it's either an industry that bites you and hooks you and tags you forever, or one that you figure out it's not for you. But it's really, really, I would say, one of the most rewarding but tough industries to be in. There's been a few.
There's another question from Papa Smith, and it's regarding graphic design. So is graphic design an important skill to have when you're becoming a merchandise director?
What was the question?
Whether being your graphic designing ability is an important skill to have when becoming a merchandising director.
No, I touched on that in the beginning, and I said that's what I kind of mentioned. Not just one skill set would give you a good rounding. The other one here, Shane Sun, do you do most of your job on computers or technology? I wouldn't say I could give you a ratio. As a buyer in the business, you probably spend your time probably three ways. Computers, through all our business intelligence applications are quite vital to construct the behavior of what your customers is shopping from you currently. That has a significant impact in retail. Understand what they're wanting right now as a significant impact on how you craft your future. Technology, looking at any BR tool in terms of future season analytics, very important. But a big portion of the buying world is also, like I said to you, tactile, touching, feeling, fitting your garments on a dummy, to the digital realm that's moving to. But fashion and clothing, you're always going to want to touch and feel. It's a very personal item that you put on your body. There's a tactile portion to it as well. Obviously, as a merch director, I have less tactile in my day. Mine's more strategic, people, leadership that I focus on, obviously overseeing merchandise. So when I can get my hands on a bit of product and get involved with the team, my team will tell you that I probably take it over a little bit because, as you move up the chain, you work with the product physically less and less. So I often crave that. It's a blend. Behind your desk, analyzing, like I said, that's the commercial side that comes out. Researching is when technology comes in, and then working with the actual garments, cutting swatches, fitting garments, assorting on a wall. It's quite exciting, but it's blended. Then there's how hard employment opportunity. How hard is it to find an employment opportunity as a buyer in South African fashion industry?
Yeah, there's another one by Papa Smith. What are your other job opportunities besides overseeing the marketing and branding of products? Is that something you're involved with, the marketing and branding?
Yeah, like I said, our business works on a collaborated effort. Marketing don't sit in a corner somewhere and nobody gets involved. Like I said earlier, our business is very collaborative. Yes, I'm responsible for one discipline, but there's a cross-pollination across our management team into every discipline, and that's how we achieve what we've achieved over the last 25 years, that it's a very collaborated effort from everybody. So yeah, it's obviously just no one person does it. And yes, I do get involved, as do my leadership team and my buying team get involved in how they want to market the product with marketing and chat about it. So yeah, I'd say everything that we construct, whether it's merchandise planning, marketing, is collaborative. So yeah, that answers that. Papa Smurf asked, what courses should one pursue to prepare yourself for the situation? You know, obviously the courses you guys offer on buying and merchandise, you know, the modules that you guys run on the commercial side of retailing, there's a lot of maths involved, which you guys cover quite a lot of as well. You know, anything that's clothing or production related, really good to go through as well. But it doesn't mean that if you have a BCom in business administration, you can't end up in this career. You know, our business specifically is very much focused on internal growth and bringing people in at foundation level. And our motto has always been training, hire for attitude and train for skill. You know, that's how I got into this role. They saw something in me 22 years ago, and I've had to work very hard. Sorry, my lights are just quickly. Let me just go and run quickly. If you guys don't mind, 1 minute.
Yeah.
So we've got also timers every 30 minutes after 4:30 that cuts our power off.
Really cool tool.
Okay.
A cool tool to have.
Yeah, very cool. So if you work after hours, every half an hour you have to go and hit the switch just to keep the lights back on in your sector. I don't know, where were we before I jumped out of here?
Kind of the
you know, we hire for attitude, train for skill. So we bring a lot of interns in. They then start as trainee buyers, and we've got a very comprehensive in-house development path that has some classroom as well as on-the-job training that take them through their journey into moving into a career in buying. But yeah, it's other clothing production management, what you guys offer from a buying and merchandising point of view, with a leaning to commercials. So yeah, that's pretty much answers Papa Smurf's other question.
There's a very question from Mahlali there. I don't know if you can see that. I think she speaks to what people already kind of covered, but she also says if you've already covered it, it's cool. But the SA textile industry has been almost non-existent. Where do you source your textiles, and do you manufacture kind of locally, prints locally? You touched on it, you know, with that 50% coming from South Africa, but is there anything else you want to just kind of?
Yeah, you know, just to answer your question, I wouldn't say the textile industry is not existing. You know, like I said earlier, we source over 50% of our merchandise from Southern Africa, with a strong leaning of that coming out of South Africa. You know, the clothing industry is not what it was 25 years ago, but there's big concerted efforts to get that revived and ticking up again. But yeah, you know, there's fabrics. A lot of the products we produce in South Africa is from South Africa or Southern African source fabric. A lot of it's printed here as well. So, and then there's a portion of fabrics that aren't available locally, that nobody manufactures, that you have to import, but produce the garments locally. So yeah, it's a blended approach. There's not one model. Clothing is complex, you know, from t-shirt, single jersey to woven viscose through to denim and nylons for jackets. You know, every country/region specializes in certain blends of what's how they produce best based on the technology and the availability of raw materials they have. So yeah, you know, you could have goods manufactured in SA with fabric from Pakistan, or goods made in China with fabric from Brazil. You know, it's complex, but yeah, we are big supporter of local, and a lot of our prints are designed by our graphic team in house, which is quite a strong ability we have as a retailer, which kind of speaks to agility. Yeah, so I hope I answered that question.
No, definitely. There's a question from Shine, and I think it's related to something that's also, you know, very interesting, and perhaps you can just kind of explain to us what's going on there at Mr. or what happens at Mr. Price. This idea of immersive learning is becoming very, very important when it comes to understanding practicalities of what you really learn theoretically. And there's lots of research on this idea that if you immerse yourself in the environment, you just learn very quickly. Do you have internships available for students? Do you ever employ them? How does that, is there a process behind it?
Our intake normally happens at the end of the academic year, when most students that have studied down a fashion degree/diploma become available. And then we take them through a program that ultimately gets them landed in one of our 5 divisions as a trainee at the end of that internship if they're successful with the internship. We often do, I think, second year, June, July, varsity break internships as well. I think it's a 2 to 3 week program as well to give those learners some taste of what retail is at the retail level across multiple disciplines. Yeah, so I hope I've answered that. I had a bit of a comment here about my hairstyle from Kylie Jane. Lockdown hair. Wish they would put a barber back on the unbanned list for lockdown. It would be nice. So I'm making do with what I've got. When it comes to trends, how do you know which ones are going to be big in order to prepare for the coming season? Yeah, that's an interesting question. You know, it comes with that's experience that give you a lot of steer there, but also all the intelligence and the research you do, as well as making sure that your business is prepared to make the calls by testing in small batches to understand customer acceptance of trends. You know, there often are trends that emerge, you know, out of the blue, left field. They're here for a short space of time, and you have to IBM them or not, and they disappear as quickly as they came. That comes with business confidence and managed risk as well. So a lot of research goes into understanding which trends you want to adapt, but it comes ultimately down to understanding who your customer is and knowing what your customer wants, and whether that trend would be applicable to her or not, or him. So yeah, that speaks to the commercial side and the intelligence side of the business to make those decisions and those financial commitments that you need to invest in for the future.
But any kind of innovation process will go through kind of a trial and error, stage, and I think it's probably the same in any industry. You try a bunch of things and you see what works, and you're probably going to end up trying a lot of new things and seeing how that lands. So it's just a very exciting part of the innovation process. And I think we've just kind of been jolted into it even more, while we need to kind of innovate in a very short time. So we need to kind of leave that room for things to kind of play out and analyze and see where it takes us. But it's an exciting part of the innovation process.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to answer Papa Smurf's question here, how did I get involved with Mr. Price? And he's asking a few questions here about vision and values. Yeah, just to rewind to the start of the conversation, I started Mr. Price as a casual in one of our stores years ago when I was at school, and that was the start of my association, and an opportunity came about while I was studying to join the head office team, and that's pretty much how my association with Mr. Price started. So I started right at the bottom, if you want. And yeah, having been at this business for 22 years, I wouldn't be here for 22 years if my vision and values correspond with that of the company, and that's kept me here for 22 years. So yeah, to ask if it aligns, yeah, if it didn't. And that's the beauty of our brand. We've got a really strong brand with really, really strong core values and vision, and it resonates with me. That's why my journey has been here for as long as it has. Another one, how important is being curious and thinking out the box? I would say vitally important. We touched on it earlier about the uncertainty that the globe's facing, whether it's retail or any other industry. As a fashion retailer, you have to be curious and constantly think out the box. That's how you evolve. If you stop being curious and thinking out the box, I think you become old, irrelevant, whether you're in any industry. And we, as a human being, have inquiring minds that pass to business. So yeah, I don't think you can be in this industry if you're not curious and think out the box and understand how things can evolve differently. How does Mr. Price help combat and ensure So that one jumped away. Yeah, so that how do we combat and ensure due processes? You know, we're a business that prides ourselves on sustainability, and sustainability for us is on ethics as well. You know, we're a member of SEDEX, ethics organization globally. Yeah, and it's things that we frown upon. We don't associate with any supplier slash entity that exploits people. You know, child labor is something we never go near. So yeah, I think our values uphold being ethical in everything we do, as we would normally do on a daily basis. How can a student get involved with big companies like Mr. Price nowadays? You know, yeah, we got a really nice, you know, on our group website, people, Mr. Price people / intern section for you to drop your CV into, and a good recruitment team that would get you in touch with our division / the group from an intern point of view. So yeah, we've got a handle on LinkedIn if you want to get involved with our Mr. Price people arm. So yeah, I would say log on to them. I think they've got an Insta handle as well as a Facebook page. So there's many ways you can communicate with our internal team to try and understand how you can be involved in our intern program. You know, obviously we've kickstarted as well. So there's that link as well. Then Papa Smith's got another question.
Yep. When you became the merchandise director at Mr. Price, how did you get involved? How did your involvement affect the company's research analysis, marketing, branding strategies?
Yeah, you know, I don't think any appointment dictates that. You know, like I said earlier, it's a collaborative approach. So it's not one individual driving any single strategy. It's a collaborative strategy that we drive. You know, we don't live for the here and now. We've got a 1 to 5 year, 10-year strategy that we're all working towards. And yeah, no one individual drives that process. It's collaborative. So yeah, I'm hoping that answers that one. Then yeah, there's no more questions. I don't know if you've got any questions for me.
Maybe just kind of start wrapping up from my side. I mean, this is a very typical question for somebody that's interested in this kind of career. Do you have any kind of advice? I mean, as somebody that's kind of knows it through and through, what would be where's the entry points? How do you need to kind of line yourself up for success when it comes to merchandising?
To answer your question, you know, perseverance in retail, like I said to you, it's a hard industry, but a highly rewarding industry. So perseverance and hard work is probably the two things I would say are attributes that a successful merchant would need to have. And patience. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and building a career takes time in any industry. So yeah, patience, hard work, and the three qualities I would say make for a successful merchant. What do I love most about my job, Papa Smith? Sure, so many. I would say it's interacting with my team. It's probably the highlight of my day. Secondly, would be working with the garments. You know, and I spoke about it earlier. I don't often get to play physically with the garments with the team, but when I do, I thoroughly enjoy. Like I said earlier, I'm sure I'm a rash because I get overly involved because those opportunities don't come around so often. But yeah, for me, it's about the people in my team. You know, the collaborative teamwork we engage in to achieve the goals we want for our customer, and then yeah, just product. You know, like I said, it's a tactile industry, touch and feel it, and that for me is exciting. So yeah, what can you do if you want to study fashion? Struggling with funds. Sure, that's a hard question.
That is a hard question. I think, and that's the commitment that when it comes to higher education, you need to kind of make. There's more entry points these days. I mean, you don't need to commit to a 3-year degree. You can do a 1-year higher certificate. You can start by entering into like an online program. That's a couple of months, whereas a higher certificate is about a year. So maybe like there's different entry points now. So I think what's always been difficult when you want to study is this commitment to a 3-year program and all the funds that come with it. We haven't been able to sort that out as a whole in South Africa, and we all know it's very important. But there are lots of bursaries available, and I think, I mean, that would be your first point of call when it comes to studying. There's lots of, I mean, I'm not sure about Mr. Price, but there are bigger corporations that have bursaries available for potential students. And I think it's just being very smart about applying for all of those. We've got some interesting help that you can get. So I think it's just being very aware of the possibilities that are there. But it's a commitment. Studying is unfortunately a commitment still for all of us.
Then Don's asked us what trends to for spring summer 2020. Not giving away too much because I don't know who's listening. But yeah, I think there's a big significant move towards, on the ladies' wear side, comfort, easy wear. Obviously, for those who have trawled the net on European retailers would know that floral is a significant trend for the season ahead, whether it's big, bold statement florals, ditzy florals, voluminous dresses, voluminous tops, significant driver. But obviously, your everyday staples, denim is still massive for the season ahead. And men, same thing, you know, big, bold statements on shirts, resort shirts, floral shirts, significant focus paired with what we will call the dual short, the short you could wear as a swim short that often matches back, but not always does, yes, in bold colors, but not understanding your staple favorites that would be in the wardrobe too. So yeah, that kind of got that one. Papa Smurf's got another one here. Yeah, you know, speaking about vision again, you know, vision is not something you change, Papa Smurf. It's something that you have a plan for and you move towards. It's a goal you move towards. You know, and like we said earlier, the industry is moving at a rapid rate, you know, based on the effects of COVID-19, and even pre that, you know, there's significant shifts globally in the markets, and you know, every retailer is applying what's relevant to them into their business model. And yeah, watch out for what that might be in our business in the future. Cool. But yeah, everybody's approaching it in a relevant manner for their business. Yeah. Question, Papa Smurf? I think Papa Smurf's got one last question for us. No question yet. But yeah, you know, it's been fun having a chat to you. I don't often engage like this, but yeah, I'm happy for you guys to pop me more questions. You know, after the Insta TV is done. Yeah, it's been fun engaging, answering some questions for learners that want to enter this industry. And I hope you guys have had an amazing evening with us, chatting about the industry and where to move to and where it is moving to and what the changes look like, not only in retail but in the globe. I can't hear you, Leah. Have we gone off? Can you hear me? What now? The followers said they can hear me. It's just you, Leo. I think you're the one that we can't hear. Yeah, so I'll maybe close off the Insta Live then. Guys, it's been amazing chatting to you guys. I'm sure if you guys want to do another session like this, Leo will be in touch. And I hope you guys found it useful and insightful, and hopefully we do it soon. Have a good evening, and chat to you guys at a later stage. And yeah, be safe. Cool.